Rey Crossman, welcome to the herd.
You know there's another herd.
What, Colin Cowherd?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just spelled differently, but that's why we play on the words.
Okay. That's the first thing that came to my mind, though, which is going to be the first thing that comes to everybody's mind. But that's fine.
hmm we like to play with wordplay and names that sound similar, but the beauty of the English language is so long as I spell it differently, phonetically it
How
doesn't
are we
matter.
spelling it?
Heard. So, a couple years ago, I was trying to think of a word. Like in New York, they're like, "Oh, word," right?
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of a word that you could respond to people that everyone hasn't said. I remember, like, you say bruh or bruh or broski or brody, things like that.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to say something to people that wasn't like, "Oh, okay, cool, gotcha," heard, or word. So I just literally said heard. When I told my friend that, I started hearing it everywhere. So since then, I was kind of like,
Like I heard you.
I
Like heard
heard
you.
you.
Right.
Exactly. So considering we're talking here and generally speaking, the people that will be on this show, this channel, this page, this inside of this space, they're gonna be saying prolific and profound things. I want to make sure that people understand you're heard.
Hmm.
Feel what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If you will, please introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Rey Crossman. I'm from Albany, New York. I am a basketball teacher. I would like to consider myself a basketball savant. Um, I love the game of basketball. I love kids. I love youth. I love being able to direct and give inspiration and hope and teach to the youth. Um, I've been coaching basketball for um, 20 years about now, and I have a ton of experience within the game. I also am a husband. I'm a father of two, um, and that's probably the most important thing.
I love that. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, anytime that I've heard you speak, you say those two things first. So
Hmm.
I know exactly how important that is to you.
Hmm.
Congrats on the little one, and most recent little one for sure. And real quick, what's it like being a family man and also a basketball teacher? Because from what I understand, you're really busy, really on the go, and
Hmm.
basketball is year round these days, no doubt about it. How
Hmm.
do you balance those two things?
It's just it's a juggle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Business and family are both priority. Um, so you take care of home, and then you take care of what you need to do within the business. It just doesn't stop. You're in all time fight or flight, and as the leader in the household and the person who needs to make sure that in in my realm and my job is that a husband has a job and the wife and the mother has a job. So within what I do, as with my wife also, not to talk in circles, but it just doesn't stop. Um, and as far as having kids and dealing with a lot of kids, I just have a lot of experience with kids, so I have an understanding for, um, or I feel like I have a great understanding and feel for who they are and what they need and where we're trying to help them go. It's a little different with my kids because they're mine, but in the same light, I feel like all the kids that I work with and the families that I work with, those kids are um, family, and we treat them and hold them accountable and are honest, and we're trying to develop them the same way to have the same amount of growth and success in their lives.
I love that.
Business doesn't stop. Fatherhood doesn't stop, and it shouldn't, and it can't, um, or else we're not doing something right.
Mm. Mm. Where does the passion for development of kids and the youth, where does that come from?
I, it's just God's gift, God given. Um, I gotta start saying so much, but
You good?
uh, my father was a coach, and I think that he instilled um, he had love for kids too. It's the same thing. He coached a lot of kids. He influenced a lot of young men to this day who I have great relationships, who still hold so much value in him. And I think that it was just passed down through the game of basketball, again, which has been that's just our life. Ball is life. That's a real thing. But to get far enough within the game and have enough experience and wisdom to, yes, teach the game of basketball, but then just have a great understanding of what we're trying to accomplish in life. But I think as far as the passion goes, I think it starts with basketball, but with the experiences of coaching in many environments and being around a lot of really good people who have had a lot of experience in the game, you see that it's more than just basketball, and it turns into family, and it turns into relationships, and it turns into what the main goal is to get the most out of the young men and the young women that we deal with.
Top 3 experiences that basketball has rewarded you. I love the fact that you said ball is life, because some people don't understand that, right? Like I remember on the news or something, some reporter said, about LeBron James, one of the most prolific basketball players in our time, said he's just dribble a basketball. So give me your top 3, if you will.
Just dribble a basketball.
Yeah, just dribble. That's crazy.
I think that there's people who, in a statement like that, people they know what they know and they believe in what they believe in, and it's to no fault of their own. That's just what they have been taught. But for him especially, to have the success that he's had, to just dribble a basketball just doesn't make much sense. Because even for the people who haven't accomplished 1% of what LeBron has accomplished, they need to be doing more than just dribbling a basketball. So that statement was kind of just out of here. My top 3 experiences, in no order, I was on the coaching staff for Yale when we went to the NCAA tournament, and we played LSU in the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot of coaches and players who dream of playing in the tournament, and for me to be able to get to that level and experience that with the staff that I was on and those players, it was an amazing experience. And now, I wasn't necessarily a coach where I was X and Oing, but I had a lot to do with the process of us getting there as the director of operations. So definitely the NCAA tournament was, that's going to be a lifelong achievement until we do it again. That would be pretty neat, Lord God willing, to win it. That'd be. So who's to say that doesn't come to fruition? So many basketball experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think just the opportunity to coach at the college level, and not to pinpoint the specific instance, but to have the opportunity to gain the wisdom from when I was at UNC Charlotte as a manager, where you're really sweeping the shed and trying to really figure out. I was younger too, a little bit younger, so trying to figure out how to get to where I was trying to go when you don't really know, and just you took the leap of faith to just put yourself in that situation. So as a manager at UNC Charlotte, and then when I graduated from Charlotte, I was able to go to Skidmore as an assistant. Skidmore College is in upstate New York, Saratoga, New York, where you got to have my first real taste of what coaching was. And prior, I didn't really know, especially when you're on the outside looking in. If you're a manager, operations, video coordinator, it's still a little bit different as an assistant. So my first opportunity to be on a court, to recruit, within the recruiting environment, be able to get around and meet other coaches who I looked up to, or I was just meeting, and starting to build your network. So the opportunity to build your network was major. And then after 3 years at Skidmore, I was able to get the opportunity to be the director of operations at Yale for James Jones, and that was probably the game changer as a experience from a how to be a man standpoint, my routine standpoint, the understanding of what obsession looks like to have success that I was able to get from him. And for 2 years, just learned so much about what it took to be successful, not necessarily in coaching, but just what it looked like. So not to say I didn't have that from my father and from past coaches and mentors, but that was probably when I was old enough to really understand and mature enough to really understand, like, that's kind of what it looks like, that's what it feels like, and it's every day. So when it comes to being a father and your business, it just don't stop. It doesn't stop, not if you're going to be on top or if you're going to scale towards that direction. So those two experiences, national championship, just being able to climb up the college ranks a bit and learn a lot about the business and myself. And I suppose I'll say winning 2 Ivy League championships also. To win, to play these teams like Harvard and Princeton and Penn and be a part of that competition and that chess match between those coaches and staffs and players and programs and universities was probably another one of the experiences. So I suppose those 3 things.
I imagine it being difficult to really pinpoint and pick out just, experiences. So thank you for sharing that. The reason I say that is because I remember I was with you not too long ago, a few months ago, at a regional championship between Lake Norman and Charlotte Catholic, to which you had a couple of your developing kids on both teams, both women's teams. And then in there, I randomly met, through you, because of you, I randomly met the women's basketball head coach at UNC Chapel Hill. And I was like, it was just so random. And I'm like, okay, so I see how you move, how you represent and present yourself, and also who responds to that, you know what I mean? And so from there, like that, I was already rocking with you before then, but that was just like a stamp of, okay, like he's just legitimate, you know what I mean? And you don't boast about it. So that's why, I'd like to just be able to draw those things out. So I want to get into what it is that you do and why, like, what makes you special with what you do. What are some of the takeaways that you expect the kids who are a part of your program, a part of your development and training, what are things that they walk away with? Because it's far bigger than basketball from when I've been around.
I think that all my kids learn, which is very important. In our classroom, in many cases, you're not going to hear, it's truly a classroom setting. So within learning, there's a lot of honesty that has to take place. And within learning, there's a lot of patience that has to take place. And I think that the kids, and I hold them accountable. And there's never a moment that I'm going to tell them something that they just want to hear. I'm always going to tell them what I know that they need to hear in that moment. And I think within improvement and honesty and telling the kids how it is, and then them going and those things translating. I forgot the question.
It's just what are some of the takeaways that you've witnessed the kids have, or that they just walk away with, beyond greater basketball players, of course?
Sure. I think this is just all very a gift from God, because when I get texts or I get calls about the kids having success, and I feel like I haven't really done much, but they were in class and they were it could be once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and I still truly don't believe in those moments that I did much, but I get responses like, "Hey, they're doing this really well, and they're doing this really well, and their confidence better, and their mentality is better," and I'm like, I mean, I really didn't do much, you know. So just the fact that the kids are coming in and they're coming in with shortcomings and things, characteristics, skills that they need to improve on that I can correct like that, without practice planning, without sitting down and having great conversation with them and trying to figure out who they are and what they know and what makes them tick and still be able to get a lot out of them. I just feel like once you can have those conversations about who they are and what makes them tick, and then they really go at it. They're really out of here. But just the ability for the kids to come in and me feel like I didn't do much, but we clearly did enough for them to go, and it translates now, or they feel more confident in their game. They feel better about themselves. I hope I answered that.
For sure.
Good thing you're editing. Good thing this isn't live.
We might get there one day, but no, we definitely want to, have as much creative control as we can throughout the process.
Ask that question one more time. Let me see something.
What are things that kids inherently take away from being in class with you? How have you seen kids change over time?
It's really just like I would consider it like a Crossman way. It's like every family. That's just like, I saw you guys doing that. I saw you guys speaking about that. I can't explain it, Coach, and it's like every parent, it's every family. Now there are select few kids who the process might take a little bit longer, or it just might not click for them as quick, or sometimes it just don't click. And I guess I can take part in the shortcomings as well, but it's very few and far between. So just if you come into class and you are willing to learn and you're willing to work hard and you're willing to do it consistently, you're going to get better. And that's the most, and you're going to learn how to carry yourself on the court and carry yourself as a person, and slowly but surely you stop doing the things that don't help you in the game and you start doing more of the things that help you. Same thing off the court. Slowly but surely you stop doing some of the things that don't help you and you start doing more of the things that do help you. And we're just always going to keep it a buck. We're always going to keep it 100. And the families and the kids love me for it, because there's too many testimonials that say it works.
What's the name of your brand or your business?
Well, the name of the business is Rey Crossman Enterprises, and the reason why we named it Rey Crossman Enterprises is because we just want that to be the title of what's under this big umbrella. And then we gave a definitive Rey Crossman basketball or Crossman basketball, because basketball is the gateway to all the other things that we'd like to get to. And if we talk about all the things that we want to get to, I guess it'd be good, because I need to start getting to more of it.
That's exactly where we were about to go.
But there's things in the community that we want to get to. There's nonprofits that we would like to get to. There's just being able to be more fruitful and serve more of the community, the inner city, and continue just to provide leadership and put people in front of the kids and in front of parents and families who are going to send the right message and who are going to help continue to push positivity and hope, and opportunities to all demographics. But yes, it is Rey Crossman Enterprises. It's Crossman Basketball. I was gonna have some type of different name for it when I first began, but my sister was like, when people hear Crossman, they think about basketball anyways. I just didn't think about that because that's my last name. So once we had that conversation, it just made sense, and I think it's strong. I think it's strong, and it's my last name. So when you put your last name on something, you better make it go.
Facts, facts. Your legacy is not all that you have, but it is a critical and one of those things of importance.
What else we got?
There you go. There you go. And
That
then
was a question. What else? What is not all? If legacy is not all we have, what else we got?
well, it depends if we're being present time or futuristic. You know what I'm saying? We have ourselves, and our names are attached to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But within the said human experience, and I'm not trying to get too deep with it, so
Okay.
that's where got to be mindful of that.
All right.
But no, essentially, I understand exactly what you're saying. What is a name? A name within a name. It's a bit of Shakespearean in there, and so I understand the depths of it. Let's fast track it, because generally the way I would ask this question would be, in 10 years from now, where do you want to be? Let's fast track it. In a perfect world, no obstacles, no questions, money's not an issue. Where's Rey Crossman Enterprises and Crossman Basketball at today? What are they doing? As in, we're 10 years ahead, and
We're just doing more philanthropy, and providing more opportunities for definitely less fortunate, and uh, just people who don't have much opportunity or hope. Um, I'm probably on the court a lot less. I have people under me who still are able to teach and develop, but we also have more programming that allows for me to be present in those things and less time on the court. And I guess we want to. If money's not an issue, money is an issue. Money's not an issue. Um, I probably had. I don't. I ain't never think about if money wasn't an issue, because we're trying to make it, and we're trying to gain momentum into making it. So, to answer your question, simple answer is you're just doing more for others, and you're trying to provide opportunity and experiences, and put smiles on families' faces, and just giving them better energy and better understanding of what it takes to be more and be better.
I love that. Have you ever heard the quote, the person who doesn't want to be the leader is probably most fit to be the leader? Or something along those lines.
Well, if it's along those lines, it's not a quote, but I haven't.
Okay. I think it's like a meme that I saw somewhere. The reason I say that is because a lot of times, what I like about what you said, a lot of times people want money to figure out how to change their own life, right? I mean, we live in a capitalistic society, so I understand, that thought process and ideology. Essentially, I think that there's a fine line, though, where even outside of your blind philanthropy, where people are just giving to charities that they may not even be directly affiliated with or whatever for a tax write-off. In our society, we've witnessed a lot of people who have wealth do things for themselves, their own family, and not many people outside of that paradigm. So with what you just mentioned, if money wasn't an issue, you didn't talk about how you're going to put your kids in a private school. I'm not telling you and suggesting that you would not, but what I'm saying is
I would.
exactly, because I would too. But the priority, even through the business, is to look out for more people. I find it to be profound because I think there are a lot of people who are like-minded in that way, especially now, which is why we've gotten so many different social organizations that are kind of reaching out and trying to figure out how we impact the less fortunate. It's important that we fund and we find ways to be a part of the community and benefit others who are going to give back to that same community. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I heard you say in your response. And that's why I think it's important that we start to think, manifest, if you will, think in ways where if money wasn't an issue, what would I do? Because the people who are venture capitalists, the people who are going to fund and donate and really contribute to the greater picture should know very clearly, without any question, what the person is about, so that it creates this ease of mind when they're making that investment. You know, it's not always about ROI in a financial sense, but ROI with you. I know I could send my child to you and they're going to come out a better child. That's a great ROI to me. You know what I'm saying? That's an amazing return on investment. So I'm not even thinking about the number. You understand what I'm saying? I think if we were able to get that message out to more people, they would be more inclined to figure out the ways to really invest more, if not with their money, you know what I'm saying, with their resources, you know. And so that's the reason why I enjoy this part of the conversation as well.
I think that there's people who would like to be more philanthropic.
Sure.
That if you said that I think there's people who want to be more philanthropic, but money is an issue, right? So you can be that way on a lower scale. I think that there are people who want to be more philanthropic, but their day-to-day is so consumed that it doesn't allow for them to make it a priority. And I would imagine there's people who money is not an issue, and they just don't have the right relationship and trust in certain people to put their money in certain spots, because you just need somebody to you just need more relationship maybe with people on the ground that maybe they just don't seek, or they just haven't found the right relationship. So I guess I'm thinking from my standpoint is it would be we want to do more things beyond just being philanthropic, but just if I'm talking about my programming and just doing more, you have to find time. You have to make time for those things, and if they don't affect necessarily our day to day, and we get so consumed in day to day and clouded that it's hard to touch. I think it's an excuse in a lot of cases, but it's hard to touch all the things that we either should be doing or could be doing because of just day to day. So I don't know. I'm just chatting.
That's all we're here for. Give me 3 tips that people can apply today or tomorrow to be better people from your vantage point.
I think it's very important that we focus on ourselves a little bit more and try our best to do less of comparing to others. Everybody comes from a different background. We have different parents. We have different beliefs and different opportunities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we could just kind of tunnel vision on ourselves and focusing on finding a way that when we look in the mirror to be 1% better than we were at the beginning of the day. And when you do that over a course of period of time, you'll be in a much better place. I think that I know that we have to focus more on the long term and what the goals are on a day-to-day to reach. Because I don't want to be better than anybody right now. I want to be better than them when it's time to be better than them, right? So if I'm a player or I'm a student and there's competition, I really want to try to find a way to be so obsessed with what I'm doing on a day-to-day that at some point I know that I'm going to be better than them. I know that I'm going to surpass them. I know that I'm not going to be doing anything that's falling short of my potential, and at some point they're going to get distracted, or I'm just going to be more prepared for whatever the opportunity is than they are when the time comes. And we live in this really big microwave, and everybody wants it like it just don't happen like that. And I think that, or I know that, even as adults, but definitely the kids, they feel like everything is so attainable because it's just sitting on our phone, and we see so much success and we see so much greatness that we feel like we can touch it, but we don't really take into account how long it's taken those people to be how they are, and the ups and downs that it's taken for them to get there. The other reason why we don't want to compare so much is because we don't know what that person has gone through to get to where they are, and we don't know what they're going through at the moment to stay in that spot, and we may not want any parts of that. So if we can just concentrate and compare less and focus on who we are, I think that'll go. That's beneficial for everybody. And the last thing is, especially for those who want to be really good and want to have that type of success and reach their goals and their dreams, there's no way to do it without being obsessed with it, because the culture would say everybody can't go, right? But it's very true, for the jobs, for the opportunities, to be in those rooms with certain people, there's only a certain amount of spots, and to get an opportunity to be in the seat, you got to be special. And there's very few people born so special that they don't have to put no work into it, and pay dues, and be so very patient, but then also work relentlessly and be obsessed to find a way to get the opportunity. I think that's three things. The other thing is our network is so very important, and that takes a very, very long time to build. So we have to put ourselves in situations where we're very uncomfortable. We might have to shake somebody's hand that they might be somebody who is so successful, and we have to put ourselves in a position where we have enough cojones to go and introduce ourselves, but also just the experience is more important than the money. From 15 years old to 35 years old, maybe 40 years old. So we gotta try to think less about financial goals and aspirations, and try to focus more on how can I get this experience, how can I get this wisdom, how can I provide and teach and give to so many people, because I've done everything from an experience standpoint. I haven't made no ends, but at some point, I didn't make any ends. I didn't make no money. I'll be 37 next month. I didn't make any money in my 20s, or 31, or 32, or 33, and a little bit now, like a little bit. But the experiences that I was able to get, it allows for me to be a little bit different than everybody else. And when you're a little bit different in the right fashion, right? And that just means you kind of got to be really different. Everybody, the young cats say I'm different, or I'm him, or I'm her. How? What do you do so different? You know what I mean? So truly getting enough experience and just paying dues and learning. It's not about money. The money's gonna come, for real. The money will come, but you have to be special. So within all those things, So I would say the most important thing is to compare yourself less to others. The second thing has got to be you have to get your experience and the wisdom, and worry less about short term and what you see that's so very tangible, and just know that in the long term, you're gonna win the race, you're gonna win the fight, or whatever the analogy may be. And then just how important it is to have a strong network, and then carry yourself the right way. Because that network they have to co-sign you, and the right network ain't just co-signing anybody. You know what I mean? So those things.
That's facts. So much resonates there, and there's just so many gems that were dropped that it literally obliterated where I was going with my next question. So thank you. That was amazing. You said so many things within there. I appreciate your vulnerability with the age, bro. Like, that means a lot. People really think that there's some fast track to the things, you know what I mean? But a lot of it is just experience and process. So
there is a fast track, but there's not enough substance within it for you to maintain it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's how many people we know that have had success, or I don't know, I'm thinking about like a Bitcoin millionaire or something like that, like, or it's just like winning the lottery. Lottery winners, that should be gone. You know what I mean? Opposed to somebody who's really earned their money, they're not gonna just let it go. And it's the same thing with experiences, right? Like, there's a lot of experiences that I felt that I would deserve, which I didn't, or I felt that I was ready for, which I wasn't. That if I did get the opportunity, I would have fumbled it anyways. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of kids, and there's a lot of young people who just really want the short term, and they want that quick microwave highlight, viral, but they don't last. There's a lot of people we see on social media that's really funny or really good at something. Where they at? You know what I'm saying?
Real.
There's a lot of basketball trainers. There's a lot of really good coaches that were young or coaches that were young that they're not coaching no more, or they doing something different because I'm kind of off on a tangent, but you want to be ready for the opportunity, and a lot of times, if we get in something too early, you don't know what to do with it for real.
No, that's real. Reminds me of, I think I was working in sales at one point, and someone asked if you could sell, what it was that was being sold. If you could sell it, or someone came in for an order and it was a massive order, how would you then be able to fulfill that order? And immediately your mind just goes blank, which indicates exactly what you said. A lot of times you may wish for things that you just aren't ready for.
Right, and if you were ready for that question, you would know 100 different ways how to sell it.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't have to go look at a book. You wouldn't have to go check on Google. You wouldn't have to go look at your old notes. You would just know. I know exactly how I'm about to sell it. But not without experience and wisdom. We got to get our experience and our wisdom up. Even in the position I'm in now, I'm still learning. Like, I'm just learning. I'm just doing what I do really well, but like within all the other things that come with business, and trying to find some type of real success, I'm just learning. But it don't stop though. So you're just learning at a faster rate, and you're able to make it look like I'm the best. I'm able to make it look like Crossman basketball was the best thing since sliced bread, but it's really not. I'm just kind of doing what I do, which is a blessing to do it really well. There's just a lot more that we got to get to that I'm kind of just learning,
My last question. What's one thing you heard that you wish you listened to and applied sooner, if anything?
I don't know. You just want to mature faster, but sometimes it's not. You ain't supposed to mature faster. You're supposed to make the silly mistakes. There's things that I've done. I don't talk about. I don't talk about when I was a young cat. You know what I mean? It ain't on my social media. My friends be like, "Yo, you erased your past." Not that I erased it, but I just did silly things that don't nobody need to really know about. I don't do no throwback Thursdays. You don't need to see my long braids. You don't need to see my tattoos. You don't see because it was just adolescence. Not to say there's anything wrong with it, but I think that you just want to mature faster. Like there's things that my father said that held me accountable to do. There were standards that he held me accountable on that when I didn't live up to those, it was like I wanted to blame him for it. You know what I mean? But I don't think there's anything that I wanted to do sooner. I think it would have been nice to mature earlier, but I think again everybody is on their own. Everybody, as long as you don't do something that takes you out of it for good, you're gonna make some silly mistakes. I just think that you just want to try to mature and be more comfortable with who you are sooner. And I think that's hard because we don't know who we are, right? And we're shaped by everything else around us. But just for me working with a lot of kids, the kids who are comfortable in who they are, you can kind of say, man, I know they're going to get to their ceiling, you know? But there's some kids who still trying to figure it out. So, you know, I can't definitively say that, but I'm sure at some point when they are more mature and they do have their shortcomings, that I would be able to say that some odd years from now, there's just some kids that you just know that they know what they want to do, they know how they want to do it, and they're gonna work for it, and they're gonna put themselves in the best position to get to whatever it is their goals are. So I think just you would like to be more mature sooner, but I don't think there's anything that's like I want to change something. I made some silly mistakes, wasting time, right? Wasted a lot of time, but I had a strong foundation, so I was a knucklehead, but I already knew that I was gonna make my parents proud, but I just was a knucklehead. So you just waste time when you're a knucklehead. But luckily, I have a foundation. So maybe it's like it's really important to give a lot of these kids a foundation, because if you're a knucklehead but you have a foundation, you kind of always got something to come back to. But if you're a knucklehead and you ain't got no foundation, it's like climbing up a waterfall. Like, how you do that? So,
Heard. Rey Crossman of Rey Crossman Basketball and Rey Crossman Enterprises. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing these great gems.
I appreciate you, bro.
Absolutely.
I need you back in the gym for some footage.
Oh, it's bound to happen
And
real
some
soon.
Projects.
It's on the way. All right, y'all. Tap in.